We're going to continue our 30-day series of trying to film and record and do stuff. Today's probably going to be a little bit more of a serious topic than what I usually do. And normally it's just unboxing or showing off stuff or festivals or whatever. But today I thought I'd discuss what we're seeing with the AI systems out there. And I feel like it needs to be discussed because I feel like everyone is picking a side and just seeing whatever it is from that side. I think that people understand that there is more to it, but not a lot of people want to sit here and really discuss that. First off, we need to understand that AI is not an artificial intelligence. It's a large language model, which basically just means that it sees patterns and it has no real thought process behind these things. Now, I might make the argument that it has the same kind of thought process that any people do. We all have just matching data that we see, but we of course also have experiences, and we go out and do things, and we have reasoning behind. There's just a lot of it's self-preservation kind of things, like we need food or we need this, that. There are some similarities between how people think and how these LLMs operate, but it's not quite the same in ways that defining is outside the scope of what I'm making this video for. What I'm making this video for is to acknowledge that yes, there are a lot of really good things for these AIs and LLMs. They can do a lot of things. They can process data much faster than anything else we have. It's a way to be able to program through just normal words. It's the first time that you're able to actually write up a program to do whatever it is you wanted to do just by sitting there saying, this is what I wanted to do. Obviously, the bigger the program, the more involved you have to get with the whole thing. But we're able to do things. We're able to see things and process data in ways that we've never been able to see us do before. And it's been kind of interesting and crazy. And of course, the downsides to this are a lot, really. Not the least of which being it's made a lot of hardware really expensive. It's made hard drives and RAM ungodly expensive, way beyond what this stuff should be. And you would think that the natural process of this would be, okay, RAM is really needed, so more companies will start producing more RAM to meet with the supply requirements. But that hasn't happened. Instead, all we see is that it's just getting more expensive. Maybe with time we'll see a little bit of a difference, a change in this, but so far it's been pretty ridiculous. Another big issue we see is it comes out to these places whether the people want it to or not. I've seen towns that have voted against having these large data centers in their cities, and with enough money thrown at it, the city just says, well, we're still going to allow it anyway. And then you have these residents that are sitting next to these large data centers, and it's affecting their health, and they're having to pay more money for the electricities the centers are being draining up with. They're using so much power, so much water, and it's causing such a massive environmental problem everywhere they are. And I think we're only starting to see some of the significant issues behind it. And the unfortunate thing is, ultimately, this is making wealthy people wealthier. It's allowing them to find better ways of doing things, which ultimately, regardless of your stance on it, if it makes rich people richer, it's going to be a thing. It's going to stay in progress. We're not going to see this go away, no matter how much damage it does. We've seen this time and time again. No matter what damage to people, to environment, to anything, if it makes someone richer, it's going to be a thing. And unfortunately, this means that we have to either learn how to use this technology and make it go to our advantage, or we fall behind. That's the simple process. There are a lot of CEOs and people that are not using this technology properly, and they're having to pay a high price for it. When you have a CEO that sits there and lays off all of their employees, all of their institutional knowledge, and they think that they can replace that with this AI technology, this LLM processes, then they find that, it's lacking. There's something definitely not there. We've seen a lot of security holes because you have this CEO that doesn't understand all of the little processes of the very companies that they own. They had people for that, but they got rid of all those people because they thought that the LLM would be able to do all of this stuff. Now they have to hire a bunch of people back on and lost a lot of credibility in the whole process. The greater successes that we've seen out there as far as this AI is concerned are the people that have been able to take their job, take what they know, what they have been able to do, and integrate the AI technologies into that. And those that can learn and develop and add it in rather than replacing are the ones that have been seeing any level of success. And that's ultimately going to be the actual answer here is, get your people to know how to use it. We do need to find, it's not going anywhere. I don't know really what the environmental solution here is going to be. There's going to have to be something. Well, I mean, there doesn't have to be something. We can just continue to suffer. That's kind of the scale we've been going off with up to this point. I know that there was a big complaint early on that the AI was taking all of the art away from people. And there is an argument to be made there. They're saying it's not replacing the actual work. We're now doing more work so that the AI can perform the art, and it should be the other way around. The AI should be doing the work so that the people can do more art. And I agree with that sentiment, and I hope that that is the direction that we end up going. And I think we'll start to see more of that. The problem is a lot of the labor that people don't want to do is physical labor. It's hard labor. And the AI just doesn't have the physical presence for that currently. As we see more and more being developed with robotics, we'll see more and more solutions coming out there, and I think that that's going to be a huge thing, and I think that that will help with a lot of the areas where people just don't want to be doing that sort of work. I don't think we're looking at the golden age that someone like Elon Musk is trying to put before us, where the robots will come in and they'll do everything, and then we all live this life of grandeur and relaxation, because we're still going to need money. We're always going to need money, and as great as it would be to see us get past that need and move into this whole Star Trek moneyless society, I think that would be wonderful, but I also think it's unrealistic. I don't think that we're going to be able to see something like that, but we should be able to do more with less. Although recent history has shown us that when we do more with less, it just means that we get paid less, and the person at the top gets paid more. So, be the person at the top. I don't know. The unfortunate thing is, regardless of how much harm, how much damage, we see AI technologies really feeding into this male loneliness epidemic that's been kind of this thing going on, and that's a whole nother video right there, both in the whole loneliness epidemic and AI's integration into it. But it's another issue. It's another thing that we're seeing, and we have to learn how to integrate this. We have to learn to make this work for us. Anyone who doesn't integrate with this, it's going to be the same as we had with computers. Anyone who couldn't learn how to use a computer is kind of falling by the wayside. Anyone who doesn't know how to drive a car, unless you're living in a city with some good mass transit, you're falling by the wayside. It's not to say that you're not going to be able to survive not knowing these kinds of technologies, not knowing how to use this, but it is going to hinder you. It's going to slow down your process, and you will be falling behind from those that do know how to run this stuff, do know how to do these things. Now, just knowing how to run AI technologies, that's not going to be enough. But knowing how to integrate your AI technologies into whatever it is you already are doing, that might actually be of use and aid. And I'm not ignoring the costs that it's going to have for us, but I'm also not ignoring the reality that it makes rich people rich. In the end, that's all that's going to matter, unfortunately. And as much as that sucks, and we can sit there and say, if we all get together and we band together and we do these things, but people got to survive. And there's people in the whole process that are just trying to survive, and they're going to be the ones that continue to prop it up. It's not going to go away, whether you like it or hate it. And that is a terrible philosophy. I understand the people, the detractors that sit there and say, oh, well, that's a terrible... It is a terrible philosophy to have to go off of. But terrible or not doesn't make it any less true. So we got to try and figure out how to work with this. And we can use the AI for the solutions that the AI causes. People who are using this and thinking it is some sort of divine entity, or they listen to it and AI is very complimentary. It is going to tell you what you want to hear, and it's going to make you feel really good and really smart about what it is you're doing. You got to take it with a grain of salt. You have to have some sort of sense, and we need to learn how to use this, because there are people who are abusing it in all sorts of different ways, whether it's by thinking that you've developed some sort of new math that needs to be done. Yes, I saw something like that. People marrying their AIs. It's becoming a crazy world, and it's just getting crazier and crazier all the time because of these things. We have to have more intelligence. You have to learn this critical thinking skills. We have to learn these skills to be able to survive. Otherwise, you're going to become a victim. And we've seen it suggesting to people that they need to kill themselves or kill other people or do crazy things. We can't depend on the people making these things to be the ones to mitigate it. It's not going to be realistic in that way. Yes, push your congressman to put some stipulations on this, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing these stipulations being put in place. We do need to continue to push to try and get some of these limitations, some of these safeguards built into this stuff. But, even if we get the main players coming out and building out their safeguards, that's just going to create a bigger market for any AI technologies that don't have any of the safeguards, and those are still going to be out there. I think our more commercial, our Disney type AIs, your Google, your OpenAI, your Grok, all the mainstream stuff that should be considered at least a safe zone, and then we can regale these ones without safeguards as more black market, fringe type of things. And we have to be able to start doing that. But as it is right now, it's all the Wild West. Of course, as happens with newer technologies, I think we'll be able to start trusting and developing better into these other AI categories, the more mainstream ones, but they're still going to exist. It's very confusing and it's a lot, but we can use it to our advantage, or we can be taken advantage of by it. That choice is up to us. That's something that we can decide. And if you completely decide to ignore anything AI and boycott anything AI, you have my utmost respect. It may mean that some of my stuff gets boycotted because I do not completely and outright condemn it, because I can see it. I can see where it's going. I can see what's happening. And I know we've seen some technologies fall by the wayside that we thought were going to be the next big thing. I just don't think that this is going to be one of those things. This isn't one of those ones that's going to fall. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me and a lot of people that think I'm, a sellout or what have you for it. But I think it's just reality. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll do some more videos on this. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But that's just at least my base thoughts. It's a much deeper thing, and I could do a full hour really delving into this. But I just kind of wanted to hit some of the basics on it, and I've done that. So I'm gonna quit talking now.